Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest video from me, Minty Squids. This is not a reaction video, as you can clearly tell by the title and the video itself and me not saying Minty Reacts and all that good stuff. No, this is a very special video and a different video than I normally do on the channel, and this is a very lovely end of the year recap kind of thing, where I just want to talk about a couple of things that I really enjoyed this year that I didn't react to and didn't talk about in other videos that I just wanted to point out. As per the usual with most people on this platform, there's usually some type of list video or some type of like, hey, I like these things video. And I love those. I always love those. I always love watching those because it's a nice end of the year recap to just kind of go over everything that happened during the year. And 2022 was another weird year, as the past, 4 years have been, basically. More 3 years, but, as the past couple of years have been, 2022 was a weird year. I'll be honest. It was a weird year again. And, to look back at it and look back and see a lot of the things that happened this year, both in terms of entertainment and in terms of personal life as well, and just other things, it's kind of good just to reflect on that. So here's a list of 10 things that I really enjoyed this year in no particular order. So it's not like a ranking video or anything. It's just 10 things I want to talk about that I didn't talk about beforehand. So let's just get started then. So first thing I want to talk about is Glass Onion. Is the new movie from Rian Johnson that is a Benoit Blanc mystery that is not a Knives Out franchise movie, even though that's what Netflix titled it as for some reason, for who knows why. They own the rights to it. They can do whatever they want. But anyway, Glass Onion. This is actually a really recent one. Two things on this list are actually very recent ones because I just watched them because I just had time. But Glass Onion was great. I am a huge fan of whodunit mysteries. And the whole cast was amazing. Rian Johnson's a phenomenal director. And I also really loved Knives Out when it came out. I went to the theaters with my mom to see it. It was a packed theater. And it was just really cool watching that in a packed theater and just hearing everyone react to the mystery going on and just trying to figure out what's happening the whole time. And as soon as Glass Onion was announced, I was like, I am all in on this, and I cannot wait for more of these movies. So when it came out finally, I wanted to see it in theaters. I wanted to go see it in theaters, but I didn't get a chance to. So I waited to watch it on Netflix. And I just watched it recently. A couple days actually prior to this recording, watched it, and I absolutely loved it. I was just enthralled the whole time by the mystery of it. The entire, like I said before, the cast of it is just completely amazing. And the fact that it's such a small cast while still having such charisma and star power to it is such a feat, and honestly just fits the whole whodunit thing anyway. So I loved it. And like I said before, I love whodunit mysteries. I also watched Death in the Nile this year, but Glass Onion just topped it completely. Just completely topped it. And I also read a bunch of mystery novels this year too, because I was just fully invested in mysteries this year. So just why not? Completely why not? But I really liked Glass Onion. I think it did reach the top of my movies I watched this year. It definitely did reach number one. It might also be some recency bias as well, but that was number one for me. And I did love it so much. Next thing I want to talk about is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Yes, these is all going to be not just movies or TV shows. There's going to be a bunch of everything here. Pokemon Legends Arceus came out at the beginning of the year. I got it, and this was back when I was still streaming on Twitch. And I played through the whole game on stream. I don't think you can watch the streams anymore. I think the VODs have been removed at this point because they're just so old. But I absolutely loved this game. I thought it was the perfect way for Pokemon to evolve the franchise and evolve the games to actually finally do a semi-open world kind of thing. I know it wasn't full open world. It was more like Monster Hunter-y, where it was like open world sections. But I still think that was absolutely perfect for it. While it did have some technical limitations, I didn't really ever notice anything too bad. And the whole story of it felt nice. It just felt good. There were a couple of characters in there that I didn't really like, but that's every game. But just the overall feel of it and being able to just throw a Pokeball out of Pokemon in the wild and just be like, cool, I'm just going to catch you right now. Okay, cool, didn't catch him, I'm going to run away. And finding alpha Pokemon. And there were some great moments on the streams where I would just find an alpha Pokemon and be like, okay, cool, can I fight this thing now? No, I cannot fight this thing. I need to run away immediately. And then just get trampled by a Rapidash. It was so fun. It had such a feel to it that just felt so good for the franchise, and it hadn't felt like that in a while, especially coming off of Sword and Shield, where those games were not the best games out there by any stretch of the imagination. Like, they felt like they were supposed to be 3DS games that came out on the Switch, which I fully feel like is what happened there. Fully feel like is what happened. But beyond all that, I just absolutely love Legends Arceus. And then the final battle against Arceus itself, like the final battle against God, was really cool. That was just a really, really cool battle. And I hope that Pokemon does more things like Legends Arceus. I hope they continue this franchise of the Legends like sub-series, so they can have an actual sub-series of Pokemon games beyond Mystery Dungeon. And I hope they bring back Pokemon Ranger. Pokemon Ranger was great, but I just wanted them to do more. It was just so great, and I wish I could say more about it, but I'm running out of good words to say. I just really like Legends Arceus so much. And the starters really good too, and the new Pokemon. I love a lot of the new Pokemon too. Third thing is a good one. It's a really fun one. It's Taylor Swift's new album. Taylor Swift's new album, Midnights, I absolutely fell in love with. It made me realize that I am a really big Taylor Swift fan, to the point where like I was seriously considering trying to get tickets for her concerts, and knowing that wasn't going to happen. So I just didn't try, because that was not going to happen at all. But I listened to this album so much that Taylor Swift herself became my number one artist of the year on Spotify, because I listened to the album on repeat after it came out. And I am not ashamed to say that. It was great. A lot of those songs on that album are some of my new favorite songs of the year, just in general. But also, there were a couple of them on there, especially Maroon. Maroon's going to be a song I just go back to every so often, a lot, because I just really like it. But more importantly, it made me just fully just come to terms, like, yeah, no, I just like Taylor Swift, and I really have liked Taylor Swift for a long time. And it took me just until this album to be like, yeah, no, I just admit it, I like Taylor Swift, she's cool. So, Midnights, great album, love it, 10 out of 10. Next thing is the Pokemon trading card game, just in person, just the actual game itself. I started this year actually playing the card game, like fully playing the card game, and going to actual in-person events and tournaments at my local game store. And I met a very loving, very welcoming community there, and it was just fun. I met a lot of really good people there. I made a lot of really good friends at this point, and I made a couple of really fun decks as well for Pokemon that I just really like to play. And it really helped me fall in love with the franchise from a completely different angle, and look at the games as well from a completely different angle, with seeing new Pokemon and just being like, how are they going to incorporate these into the card game? Like, what are they going to do to make them into the card game? And like thinking about like deck strategies, and thinking about like just what kind of like decks can I come up with to like try and just have fun. And ultimately that was the whole point of it, was just to have fun with people. And it was a very fun time with people. And I actually tried out for my local team challenge team. I did not make it, but it was a fun time. It was a fun thing just to go out there and try it, and use my favorite deck at the time, which was the Regigigas weird deck that had been carrying me throughout the entire season so far, and then just decided to brick at the very end. So thanks, Reggie. Thanks. But I love it. Pokemon TCG is great, and it's now one of my big things that I'm just into outside of doing all of this. Like every Monday, I basically go to my local game store and I play cards. I play Pokemon. I collect the card game. I play online. It's just fun. It's just a really fun thing. So I really like the TCG. Next big thing is just wrestling. Just simply put, wrestling. This was a really fun year for me for wrestling, because both in terms of AEW and WWE, I watched a lot of shows this year, watched a lot of pay-per-views, watched a lot of things, and I just really enjoyed it. While the storylines and such were not necessarily the best of the entire time, I got a lot of entertainment out of wrestling, and watching a lot of listening to a lot of podcasts and review shows, and reading backstage reports and news. It really made me realize how much I truly love wrestling. And it's been a thing that I've loved ever since I was a kid, but just fully getting back into it, I love it. And even more so, I also went to my first actual live wrestling show this year, and I had a phenomenal time. It was just such a magnetic and electric experience, just sitting in an arena with like 6,000 people, and it was a house show, but like sitting in an arena with like 6,000 people, and then just everyone just being so excited and so hype about everything happening, and just watching these performers just put on a show, and them being masters at putting on a show. And it was just so good. It was just so much fun. And I love wrestling. I really, truly do love wrestling. Next thing, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Another recent one, just like Glass Onion, that I watched very recently, that I was finally able to watch recently. And yeah, everything that everyone has said about it is true. The movie is just phenomenal. It is pretty much perfect. It is my number 2 movie of the year, right behind Glass Onion. Also might be from recency bias, but I don't think so, because it's just so good. Both Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, I really hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, the Daniels that directed it, did a phenomenal job. They did a far better multiverse movie than Doctor Strange was. Not to trash Doctor Strange any more than I already have and keep doing, but it was such a poignant movie about generational trauma, about accepting who you are as a person, about like working through failures and realizing that your life is not a failure just because you feel like you're a failure. It's not. Like, you can do more stuff. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be not okay a lot of times, and just keep working through it and to find the brightness in life. Everything Ever All at Once is a lot of movie. It is a lot of movie, but it handles it so well. And it's also funny and action-packed and heartfelt and heartwarming. It's everything, everywhere, all at once, indeed. The title is it, in fact. It is that, in fact. Next is a book I actually listened to this year on audiobook. I listened to a lot of books this year. I had a goal to try and get through at least 12 books I haven't read a lot of things in a very long time, so I want to get back into reading. So I listened to a lot of audiobooks this year when I was at work. And the main one that I really just want to point out was a book called Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It is a fantasy book about a basically a half-orc fighter who retired, and basically a tiefling that opened up a coffee shop. It is a high fantasy novel with very low stakes in a high fantasy world where they just open up a coffee shop. They open up a coffee shop, they start selling coffee, and they make a little community around it. And it's so adorable, it's so heartwarming, heartfelt, and cozy that I just want more things like that. I really just want more cozy fantasy like that. Because I love fantasy, just in general, as you can tell by me watching Arcane and watching Vox Machina. I love fantasy. Like, I love fantasy. But just more cozy fantasy. Just more just like living in fantasy world and just like existing with it. I love it so much. Love it so much. So check out Legends and Lattes. It is a phenomenal book. Just please go read that. It's so good. The final things are actually TV things. TV things that I watched before I started doing reactions from earlier in the year. First one is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is a fun one because I was planning on doing a video about Star Trek Strange New World. I actually made a thumbnail for it, which is actually right here. Here's the thumbnail that I had made originally for Star Trek Strange New World to do like a video essay on before I realized I wanted to do reactions rather than video essays. Still plan on doing some type of video essays in the new year. I will figure that out as we go on. I'll figure that out. But Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it's just so good. It's so good. Like, I know I've watched a lot of Star Wars shows on the channel, but Star Trek also has my heart too. And Strange New World was the most perfect first season of a show you could watch, where it had everything. And it was just so engrossing. So engrossing, so engaging, and just so good to watch. So good to watch. The entire cast was so good, but man, Anson Mount just had a resurgence this year, especially for me, had such a resurgence this year, and I loved seeing him as Christopher Pike. It was so good. So definitely check out Star Trek Strange New World. It's on the Paramount Plus app because Paramount owns Star Trek. Watch it. It's just good. It's just really, really good. Even if you don't like Star Trek, I feel like it's really like easy to work you into it, just like how Lower Decks was. I didn't put Lower Decks on the list here, but just like how Star Trek Lower Decks is, it's really easy to get into the franchise then this way. Last couple of things. Stranger Things Season 4. Pretty much everyone's already talked about Stranger Things enough at this point. It came out being like midway through the year. It was really good. It was just really good. I like Stranger Things. I do. I really like this franchise. It's such a good franchise, and it really is what made Netflix what it is today. Granted, they still canceled Glow, and I will never forgive them for that. But Stranger Things Season 4 is good. Seeing all the characters grow and change and evolve and just having them deal with all this serious stuff. I didn't think necessarily the 3 storylines were as engaging as they could have been. Like, all the stuff in Hawkins was so much better than all the stuff I feel like with Mike. Like, all of Mike's stuff was not that good or interesting until it became good at the end of the season, where it's like, okay, now it's fine, where they're actually getting back to 11. All the 11 stuff was good. All this stuff where they're figuring out about the past, all the stuff with the Upside Down, all of that stuff is good. All the Russian prison stuff is also like a completely different series, but also very good. Like, everything worked well. And the episode of Dear Billy is still one of the best episodes of television this whole year to me, personally. Such a good episode. And the fact that it completely revived the song Running Up That Hill from Kate Bush is also hilarious. And somehow that was my #1 song of the year on Spotify as well. Thanks, Stranger Things. You completely ruined my Spotify. In a good way. Ruined it in a good way. But I can't really say anything else about Stranger Things because it came out so early on. I just love Stranger Things Season 4. It was so good. I thought it looked really well. It looked really good too. And I'm really excited to see what they do for Season 5, because I think Season 5 is supposed to be the last season. I think it's supposed to be the last season. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I very much enjoyed it. Cannot wait for the next season. And then finally, last thing I want to talk about was actually a last minute addition, because I could not fully think of a 10th thing to talk about, is Peacemaker. I came out very beginning of the year, so very beginning of the year. I really liked Peacemaker. And especially now with DC and Warner Bros. Going through whatever they're going through, I'm very excited to see what James Gunn does with DC as an actual full DC fan. I know it's a bit weird me saying this, me having reacted to a bunch of Marvel stuff, but that's been the stuff that's been coming out to react to. There hasn't really been DC things. But I'm a really big DC fan. I have been my whole life. I'm a big comic book fan in general, but I consider myself more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. So I'm excited to see what happens with DC. But Peacemaker was such a phenomenal show, deconstructing masculinity in such a poignant and subtle way, in a sense, while still being incredibly funny, incredibly heartfelt, like way more heartfelt than I think it ever had any right to be, and being really funny. Like, it was such a funny show, along with all the serious stuff that's going on, all for a character that really is not that intriguing, interesting, or important in DC Comics. Like, Peacemaker is so far down on the list of characters to ever care about. And it's just so good. It was just so good. And I'm excited to see if there is going to be a season 2. I know originally it said there was supposed to be a season 2, but with everything happening at DC, no one knows what's happening right now. So I want there to be a season 2, but I don't know what's going on anymore. So if there's not a season 2, it had such a phenomenal season 1 that's fine with me. That's also fine with me as well. So that's my list of 10 things. There were so many other things this year, like so many other things this year that could have been put on this list that I could have talked about. And obviously there's all the things I've reacted to and talked about already. Like, I didn't mention Arcane, didn't mention Vox Machina. Yes, because I'm reacting to them right now. You can watch the reactions to those and, listen to me there. But I'm hoping for a lot of good things in the new year, and I want to thank all of you as well who are watching this, who have watched this channel this year as you've helped me grow this year. This is my first year on YouTube, starting out, and actually I started out technically as a Pokemon YouTuber. I made 2 videos, made an unboxing pack opening video of Brilliant Stars, and then I made a game mechanic video. Neither of them did that well, and I was like, I don't feel like doing these anymore, and I started doing reactions, and I like the reaction stuff a lot more. So this is a fun thing. But again, thank you all so much for sticking by me this year and for helping this channel become what it is now. And I love you all. I can't wait to see you in the new year. Let me know down in the comments what you want to see me do in the new year. What you want to see me do in 2023 for the channel to help it grow. What things you would like to see me react to, or what things you would like to see from the channel, like video essays or more reviews, or other types of media that you want me to talk about or do things with, or if you want to see me stream, I might try do streaming again. But just let me know that. And as well, as always, leave a like and subscribe as well if you want to see more and you like the channel as well. And also let me know down in the comments as well, what were some of your favorite things from this year as well. Don't give me like a list or anything, just what were some of your favorite things from this year, just overall. And until next time, stay awesome, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. And until then, peace, everyone. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.